Welcome. This is the SDSFIE-V 5.0 Models, Submodels, Functional Datasets, and Mission Datasets webinar, a resource for SDSFIE training. This training resource is designed for all users. The sole recommended prerequisite for this webinar is to watch the Understanding the Vector Standard video. The 3 background training resources listed here are optional, but they may add to your overall understanding of SDSFIE. Note that the content of this video is drawn directly from the New Logical Data Model Elements and Their Implications video. So if you have already watched that recently, there is no need to watch this one as well. All of these videos are accessible from the support section of the SDSFIE portal at the URL shown. The overall goal for this training resource is to introduce the higher-level logical data model elements new to SDSFIE-V version 5 and the rules guiding their use. The specific objectives are that the audience gains an understanding of the following: what modular models and modules, aka submodels, are, what mission datasets are and how they are useful, what functional datasets are and how they differ from 4.0 folders, and finally, what some of the implications of these changes are to model development for both gold and component adaptations. The key difference between SDSFIE-V 4.0 and 5.0 is the variety of element concepts that can be housed within a model. In 5.0, we have a significant expansion of element types. These include submodels that were added to support model modularity, mission datasets that were added to provide an easy method for a group of entities to be generated and shared for a specific purpose, and functional datasets that elevate the 4.0 folder capability for generation of geodatabase feature datasets to a full LDM element with properties. Those first 3 differences are the focus of this presentation. A separate video will cover attribute groups added to facilitate the creation of a set of logically related attributes and its assignment to entities, and attributes themselves, which were unique at the level of the entity in the 4.0 model, and in 5.0 must be unique at the model level, and thus require homogenization prior to entity assignment. Each of these new model element types requires examination and an understanding of how the new pieces fit with the existing elements and each other. A model is the most fundamental SDSFIE-V element. It can, from a component perspective, be defined as a set of elements that define all of the content required to represent an adaptation. The 5.0 model introduces the capacity for model modularity with these rules. Modular models can have submodels called modules. The example at the right is a model named HQ that contains 3 submodels: component elements, gold utilities, and gold NG911. Note that in addition to the 3 submodels, the HQ model itself may contain elements such as entities, associations, functional datasets, and mission datasets. Modules cannot be modular. That is, submodels cannot contain submodels. Modules cannot duplicate the name of mission datasets, entities, or associations from within the modular model and any or all other contained modules. They must be deconflicted prior to creating a modular model. A submodel is just a model in the portal registry that is included in a modular model by reference. A component may adapt a model prior to its use as a submodel if necessary. A functional dataset is a named list of entities with a conceptual definition useful in grouping entities typically for stewardship or proponent assignment purposes. Functional datasets are linked to a model or submodel therein. Functional datasets become feature datasets in ArcGIS at PDM generation time. Unlike folders in the 4.0 Gold model, 5.0 functional datasets are now part of the logical data model as full-fledged elements with properties and can be visualized with portal tools. The same functional datasets, those with identical model name and definitions, can be reused within the modules of a modular model, that is, within the model and its submodels. Each of those functional datasets must have a different set of entities, as entities are still unique at the model level. Then, when the model is generated into a geodatabase, a union of the entities that are contained within each of the identical functional datasets would be placed into the same single feature dataset. The next new element type is the mission dataset, which is a named and defined list of entities useful in grouping entities for generation and sharing purposes within a specific mission space. As stated previously, mission datasets cannot be duplicated within a model. They must be unique with respect to model name and definition within that context. Also, mission datasets exist only at the model level. A submodel cannot contain a mission dataset. Mission datasets can be reused for another model if the contained entities all exist in the target model. Finally, it should be noted that any particular entity may belong to 0 or more mission datasets, which would be necessary for cross-functional and other widely used feature types. In this example, there is an SDSFIE-V model consisting solely of 2 submodels. Each submodel contains functional datasets, and those contain feature types. A mission dataset named Constrained Land is created for this SDSFIE-V model by referencing one entity from each of the functional datasets in the manner depicted. In the end, the new mission dataset contains 5 polygon feature types across the environmental and military operation spectrums. As we know, adaptations are made up of extensions, changes, and profiles of a parent model. When considering modular models and adaptations of those models, there are considerations that are noteworthy. First, an adaptation of a modular model includes adapting both the modular model and its contained modules. Second, the Gold model and component adaptations, if modular, may have entities and associated model elements both inside the modular model and in the modules. So, the modular model may contain entities, and its modules contain entities. And, as just stated, duplicate entities are not allowed. So, no entity can exist in more than one location within a modular model. This concludes our presentation of the differences between the 4.0 and 5.0 SDSFIE-V logical data models and their effect on gold and component adaptations. The video that includes complementary material about the differences between the 4.0 and 5.0 models is SDSFIE-V 5.0 attributes and attribute groups. If you want to learn more about SDSFIE, its governance and use, or more detailed SDSFIE topics, visit our training resources page at the URL listed here. Thank you for your interest in SDSFIE.